What's going on, everybody? How are we doing? Guys, there's sound. I'm pretty sure. Guten Abend. There should be sound. I had my mic muted for a little, but it's not muted anymore, so let me know if you can hear me now. All right, welcome in. What it do, baby? Hey, Kaz, glad to see you. You too, man. It is indeed a fine evening. All right, well, welcome. What's up, y'all? I don't know what to, echo might be on your end. I'm not sure. This is how I do it every single time, so there shouldn't be an echo. But let me get the music. Forgot to do that last time. Whoa. All right. How's that sound? I can try and stream at some other times, Rosie, so it's not always 5 a.m. for you. Is Rec Proof with me? Not right now, but I'll get him on here soon. Yes, I am from Germany. Get that music bumping. Okay, it's my room. There is not a ton of furniture in the office. I have a desk, a couple monitors, a couch. No rug though, so that's probably why if it sounds like that. What's up, Brennan? Alright, well, I apologize if there is a little bit of an echo. Maybe if I open the door it'll be better. Then some of the sound can get out, but you know, I'm not a physics major, so who knows? All I know how to do is look at charts. What do I think of the stock to flow model? I mean, it's worked pretty well thus far. I don't know if it's going to keep working. Trip to Hawaii has been great. Alright, gave people a couple minutes to get here. Oops. So, let's make some money together. Okay, Super Saiyan. You guys know the drill. As always, streams are sponsored by Bybit. If you want to check them out, you can show some love by using the link in the description. And that's about it. So, let's talk about Bitcoin. Today is Thursday. On Tuesday, we were streaming somewhere in this region of price when we were talking last. People confuse the echo with the reverb from the massive size of Master Kaz's mansion. So previous stream, we were talking right here. I said I was short with a stop loss right here, targeting this, few levels down there. And so far, the shorts played out really well. I did take some profit at Monday's low, and I've taken some more profit right here. I'm not in a huge short anymore. It's around 30% size left, but I'm willing to hold this last bit for a while. If we do pump from here, I will look to compound the short somewhere around here. Not necessarily a straight up move. That would be a little scary. But I would be looking to add to my short somewhere in this region if I get the chance. And then I would try and bring that risk back to 1R. If that opportunity presents itself. But now that we're getting close to the monthly open, I will be looking for some scalp longs up to here and maybe up to there. So I just do that on a separate account so that I can leave the swing short running in the background. Not necessarily a swing, but kind of a swing. I mean, we're looking for from the entry, like almost 20%. So I guess you could call it somewhat of a swing. But I will be looking to play some bounces soon. So we'll see what we get. I do kind of think this should poke lower. Maybe we get our daily open dump, a little bit like that, and then go up. And then we could look for a nice, I don't know, 3R, 2.5R setup, 2.5 up to there. Something like that. Maybe we get it a little lower. That's kind of the rough plan right now. Still think the major move is to the downside, unfortunately. If we break back above here, then I would probably be wrong, and I would expect upside up to 42.5. But if we don't break above that level, if we push up and reject from there, I'd still be looking for another leg lower to 36 and then down here. Okay. I don't want to close my entire short because I do think there is more downside potential. But I also think that intraday we could be seeing a bounce soon. And I think we could take out a lot of shorters if we spike above this high. So let's say daily open dip, push above, grind up a little bit, rejection there, and then come back down. Something like this is more or less what I'm looking for. And unless, like I said, we flip that level, then I don't really think there's any reason to start to assume otherwise. Now I would kind of say our structure is starting to look more bearish. That can change at any time. Like if we break above these highs and actually hold above it versus sweep them and reject. But for now, I'm just being patient, just sitting in the short. Hopefully some of you guys were able to catch it as well. This little bounce here basically went up to my entry. So that would have been a nice entry. Cause, how come the daily open usually starts with a red candle? It doesn't always, but if we did get a daily open sell off, then I would look to fade it. Whereas if we just started pumping off the daily open, I would kind of expect that to get reversed and then either consolidate or break down. It's just those really aggressive moves right out of the daily open usually get faded. Also, if we go to the 4 hour, we do have this 4 hour breaker right here that we're testing right by the monthly open. So there is some nice confluence here for a bounce. But what I think would be ideal is if we push from around here up to this level. Kind of want that gray. There we go. Up to that level and then look for a rejection there. Look to take out these highs right? So whether or not this does something like this, or it just goes up from here, whatever happens, or maybe we just consolidate here for a bit, I'll be looking for something like this to compound my short. I'm not going to leave these on here because it looks messy, but I think this gray area is definitely where I will be looking to add back that like 70% that I've taken off. All right. We still have these highs here that haven't been tagged, but if I had to guess, I would say this comes down to here and then goes and gets those highs. So I kind of think 33 and then 43-ish. Not exactly, like it could follow this plan first and then come down here, and then we start reversing, take out that high, and then keep ranging. But yeah, we still, I guess what I'm trying to say is we still have this untapped high here. We took this one, so now this is kind of the last one that we have left from this consolidation. And this is the last one we have left from on the downside. And I don't think it's crazy to think that we just keep milking this range for a few months. Doesn't have to look exactly like that, but that's the idea. So it does kind of seem like we're forming a nice little bit of a bottom here, and I think we could get a bounce, but I probably would not just short a bounce to here. I would want it to get to a little bit more of an extreme, like this gray area. So this is pretty much the main scenario I'm watching for Bitcoin going into the weekend. I am looking for longs in this area. Like I said, if we get something like this, I can draw these better. We'll make this a good looking chart. I can tweet it afterwards too. So the people who missed the stream can still see. Let's pull up the 2 hour. Get a little bit more in here. So another little leg down and then get above the monthly open, I think could be a nice setup. And then on the other hand, something like this. So here the target would be there. For this, I'd be looking here. This might be a nice low to tag as well. Any reason for the 2 hour? I mean, it just helps me zoom out a little bit more and still have candles that are... What token is this chart for? This is Bitcoin. Whereas like the 1 hour chart, we'd have to zoom out like this much to get the same amount of context in it. So I don't think there's any like special alpha in certain time frames. I probably use the 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour the most, but it just lets you get a bigger view of things. But yeah, there's no like secret alpha in it. I'm enjoying a nice glass of iced matcha right now, which is pretty tasty. Let me think. No problem, man. How are you guys feeling? You guys bullish here? Bearish? Any specific bias? Anyone in positions? You guys long? Short still? Were any of you able to catch a short from up here? I wonder if the stream has been helping you guys. So far, Kaz, you were on point on the trades. I've followed you on a couple of them, so thank you. No problem, man. Glad you're making some money. Will the CME option expiration affect the PA for tomorrow? It could. It could just bring some volatility. Do I study candles like Doji or Dragonfly? Not really. More so just price action, man. Drink that every day. It's good stuff. Maxime says he's bearish. Michael Ray, newer trader, so we wouldn't long now with stop loss below the weekly. Do you mean the monthly open? Blue one's the monthly open. I wouldn't. If I was going to long here, I think you'd at least want your stop loss. That's pretty... I'd probably want my stop loss below here. Like 36.7. But I don't really want that. Bitcoin, please go to the moon. Eventually. I am very bullish, big picture. Bearish, check daily. It looks bearish, but I'm long for mean reversion. Let's see. I mean, the daily doesn't look too bad. It's doing the exact same pattern that we saw right here. Let me show you. I mean, not quite as clean, but it was basically bounce, retest the daily level, push, and now we're getting a bounce, retest the daily level, push, question mark. So, I don't think the daily looks too bad. But, I mean, this current candle doesn't look great, but that could get reversed in the next one. So, we'll see. Let me catch up on the chat. Hella bullish, shorting from range high, cautiously bullish, long, in a long. What do you think about spot buys? I think it depends on your time frame. If you're buying spot for 5 years out, I think you'll be just fine buying in the 30s. But I am pretty bullish big picture, so. Started building long, looking at around 36.5. Yeah, I think that's a nice level. Hey Cosby Gates, didn't you compound the small bounce to 39.5? This one ish, or this one, I wasn't able to catch a compound there. I know I was looking to short like this general region, this SR level, but I thought it would go a little higher. I wanted that Monday's mid-range entry, which is kind of what I'm still looking for. I just think we get it in a little bit. Thanks for the alpha, Cause. Keep it up. No problem, Annie. Take a look at Theta. We might have some time for that. What's up, Kyle? Do I ever consider that volume is important when thinking about entering a position, or you base your trade? Mostly based off PA, just because it's so hard to find reliable volume data. I mean, it's just different across all exchanges. So it's not something I look at regularly. Monthly open, yes. Okay, thank you. Perfect. My thoughts on the expiry is just that there will be volatility, but I'm not going to guess a direction. We're planning for multiple scenarios. I know this makes it seem like, oh, so it can go up or down, but in the reality, yes, it can go up or down, and no one actually knows exactly what's going to happen in like low time frame price action. But you can mark out areas where you're comfortable doing business and where you feel like your invalidation is at a close enough point to enter a trade. Do I trade and draw yearly ranges? Not a lot. But, I mean, sometimes I think high time frame ranges can be really beneficial. Number one advice for new traders, journal. I would say journal. It's crazy how much better you get at trading when you create a system and stick to it. That's right. Cancel out the noise on CT. What levels do I map out? I like to have I like Monday's range. Sometimes I like weekly ranges and just higher time frame stuff like that. And then I'll mark out key supply and demand, as well as weekly and monthly opens. Combine that all together, and I usually can have a good read for price. It all comes down to execution, though. Do I hold any alts or just USDT? Sometimes. Yeah, I hold some alts. I mean, I still have some FTT from like $3. I still have some Sol. I've sold some, but I still have some Sol. Have some Ethereum, have some Bitcoin, and USD. What are the odds of going under 34K? I think it's very possible. I mean, we're looking to buy just under 34K. What are your thoughts on C? I've answered that a couple times. Yo, Kaz, your squibblies are on point and actually learning me price action and SR flips. Happy to hear that, bro. All right. So I think that's pretty much the vibe from Bitcoin. Like, we have this very clear, just high time frame range that we're trading in, and we want to get long around the range lows and short around the range highs. And so we just want to keep milking it. Keep doing this as much as we can for as long as we can. $176 people here. Appreciate you all being here. We're not done. This isn't my goodbye message. But if you guys could like the video, that would be great. It helps a lot with the YouTube algo. Let's move on to Ethereum. So the Ethereum plan, I didn't think it was going to start playing out this quickly. And when you zoom out, man, Monday's range was so clean on Ethereum. So this candle right here, that one, was Monday. You can see Monday's high here, Monday's low. We swept Monday's high, closed below, broke down, retested Monday's low, and rejected. So really, really clean price action here from a daily perspective and just utilizing Monday's range properly. I chose to short Bitcoin, but Ethereum probably would have been the better one. And in hindsight, we had a nice sweep of Monday's high and then pushed once more to take out that high. So this was pretty clean. But anyway, I still think Ethereum is kind of just ranging, just like Bitcoin. And I'm very interested in longs once we take out this low. So like I said, I didn't think this was actually going to go basically straight down. But here we are. So let's draw some levels. Essentially, we want to look for some entries around here and around there. This is a Monday's range from last week, or Monday's low, I believe, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Still have this one too. That's very interesting. I don't think we have to take that one, but if we do, I'd definitely be interested around that level as well. Usually we don't leave lows like that. Like if you just zoom out, look at Monday's range. I mean, we did it a lot here because we were in such a crazy uptrend. But in general, lows don't usually survive like that. So, wait a second. Okay, never mind. We're good. So we'll keep an eye on that level. I'll have it marked, but that would probably be, I mean, if Ethereum shows some strength, then that could be the level we buy when Bitcoin hits 33K. The structures just look a bit different. But yeah, if Bitcoin does go to 33K, I definitely think we hit this level. I mean, let's see how far away that is. Just ballpark. 11% for Bitcoin. 11%. So ETH BTC would have to show a little strength and be stable. But you never know. It could spike down to here and then get back above. But anyway, for now, this is the level I'm more interested in, 2180. If Ethereum does push up, I think we look for shorts around the weekly open. So there's a few different bits of confluence that'll line up there. We have this 4-hour level just above the weekly open. And this was basically the last bit of buying before this sell-off. So any buyers in here that got trapped would be able to basically exit at break even. Something like that. Draw that on a lower time frame so it looks better. So the two Ethereum plans going into the rest of the week, we'll be looking for a sweep of that low at 2180. Reclaim of 2275 would be confirmation. If we do get a bounce now, which I think we could, we just barely took out that low into a nice little bit of demand right here. So if Ethereum does bounce, which it definitely could from here, I would be interested in shorting this gray level. Something like that. All right. Let me catch up with the chat. You can give a brief answer if you don't mind. Macroeconomic perspective, lumber crash front-running real estate, considering traditional correlation, inflation, correction in commodities, plus risk on assets like Bitcoin or hyperinflation. It's a good question. I wish I had a better answer for you. I honestly don't know what is going to happen with all the macroeconomic factors. I do think that inflation is good for Bitcoin, though. Like, if they keep printing money, then it's like just devaluing the dollar. But I'd say that's the only economic correlation that I have much experience or much of an opinion on. Causes the go because he reads all the chat. I try my best. You know, when we have around 100 to 200 people in the live streams, I can still pretty much keep a pretty good eye on the chat. But once we start having, if we ever do have like 300-400 people, then it'll be tough. What do you think is a good percentage of your portfolio to use for trading versus investing, holding long term? I'd say that all just depends how comfortable of a trader you are. And like I don't think there's any base rule of thumb for everyone to follow. I would just say whatever you're comfortable with, try like 25%. And if you feel like those amounts are too big, scale it back. If you feel like that's a little too small, then try 35 or 40. So you consider longing after the deviation below the blue line. With Bitcoin, yeah. If we get a early days fake out of this level, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, I would consider looking for some longs. Could you take a look at XRP BTC? Maybe. I'm honestly not trading many alts right now. I have been trading very successfully recently, mostly focusing on just Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I don't really want to change that up right now because I feel like it's been going really well. So we'll see though. Yeah, we'll look at ETH BTC because I think that's important. Do I trade the range with spot too? With some of my spot, but not my main long-term bag. I wouldn't flip in between these range levels because, maybe some news comes out, some other country starts accepting Bitcoin, and we just get one of these and we're back above 50. I don't want to be stuck on the sidelines with my long-term spot because I am a long-term believer in Bitcoin. So there is a certain amount that I just want to be holding and not mess with really. But in my trading accounts, I will. Like in my FTX account, which I usually just use for alts and Bybit, I like to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum with leverage on because I just think their order execution and everything is better. But if I want to, I can do it on Bybit too. Switch into USDT, I can. And I bought some spot Bitcoin at 33 and 34, so somewhere in here, and then sold it at like 40. And so now that trading account is sitting in USD right now, and I'll look to buy it back around here. I just don't really like to talk about spot on Twitter because if I say I sold some spot, people just attack me and be like, wait, you don't believe in Bitcoin long term anymore? You're selling at 40K, you're selling at the bottom, blah, blah, blah. So I just don't even bother talking about spot on Twitter because it really just isn't worth the headache. So to summarize, I have a spot Bitcoin account that I don't touch, but in my leverage trading accounts, I will sometimes swap between USD and Bitcoin within this range. You always wait for a confirmation retest to open a position? No, not always. Like here I didn't. So I entered, like this was a good example of a sweep. This candle, I marketed in right when this candle closed at like 40.5 because I saw the sweep. I saw us take out Monday's high, and that's all I needed to see. So on sweeps, I usually like market in. When I'm trading a supply and demand level, I usually leave limits. Like I'll have some limit orders here, maybe with a stop loss there and a stop loss here, like two separate trades. But for instance, with that trade, I didn't have to wait for any sort of confirmation. So if we come up here and spike this level and close below in the same hourly candle just like this, I would mark it in right there. So it kind of depends. I kind of just draw things like this here because it's just easier to visualize the concept. When I talk about execution for a trade, do you mean having your trade mapped out with position size, stop loss, entry, exit? No, I mean like the process of going through that stuff. Like having good execution, for instance, here would be marketed like entering. I'm just using this as an example because it's a trade I took, so it's easy to talk about. Good execution for this trade. Like multiple people could say, yeah, I have this Monday's high here. I know this is a key high, so I want to see a sweep of that level. So they're like, okay, this candle comes in, but they're like, oh, the market still feels kind of bullish because of how we pushed up to that. And then they wait, right? And then they see this next candle, and it's like, okay, I'll short now because now it feels more bearish. So they take a short at 39.9, but then they watch it come back up here, and they're like, man, I'm underwater. I'm at like negative 0.5 R. I'm just going to cut the trade here. And then it bleeds down and bleeds down. And so they actually took a loss when the idea was right. The levels were exactly the same. Like I basically show you guys exactly how I trade, but that doesn't mean you'll trade better than me or worse than me or the same. Like, I mean, no one will trade exactly the same as me because it just comes down to execution, and so much of it comes down to emotion and things like that. So I could have the exact same plan as someone else, but they might not take it, or they might take the short here, close it at break even here, then FOMO into the short here, get stopped out there, you know? So that's what I mean by executing. Actually, like, taking the trades, actually, you know, going through with an idea versus just having an idea. Like, someone could mark up a chart and have the exact same technical analysis as me and be like, all right, we got our monthly open here, we got our weekly open, we've got Monday's range, we've got some key highs marked out, but that doesn't mean they're going to trade this range as well as I will. And I think that just comes with experience, journaling, things like that. So when I say execution, I just mean someone could mark up a chart exactly like me, but it doesn't mean they'll trade it in the same way. If that makes sense. How do I manage position sizing and risk management? It depends on the quality of setup. I usually will risk 1% to 2% per trade. Sometimes it could be a little bit more. Sometimes it could be a little bit less. But I'll never really go over 3%. Just because I would not want to lose over 3% of my portfolio on one trade. They'll attack me here now. Can you give an example of a trade strategy? I've done that the entire video, brother. I use a combination of ranges, liquidity, supply and demand, and SR. And that's about it. What up, Kaz? I like ranges now. I just have to ignore Twitter moon boys. That's right. Some good things to track in a journal. I would say, let me pull up some things that I like to write. So, if you have a journal, I think some important things to note: the pair you're trading, the direction, the position size, your risk in USD or BTC, depending on how you're trading, a screenshot of the setup, write down the reason for your entry, write down anything you notice during trade management or how you're managing it, like taking partial profit here, moving stop up. Write all those things down. Write down the result of the trade. Post a screenshot of your exit. What you made on that trade. Then note any emotion that you had during the trade. I also have a category called Demon Finder, which is something I learned from Trader Dante. Basically, like something you messed up on the trade that you need to work on, like closed too early, closed too late, got greedy, got emotional, etc., etc. And then just a notes section where you can write whatever you want. I think if you do all that, you'll have a pretty good base for your journal. Do I use limit orders or markets? I use a combination of both. Yes, I agree. I've closed short too early just because I got scared. Yeah, and that's the execution part, and I think you can learn that over time. Actually bought spot BTC on the sweep, transferred its coin margin, shorted on 41-ish, felt safe. Yeah, that's a good way of hedging too. It's just sometimes hard for me to hold that. Like, I don't know. I think emotionally or mentally, sometimes it's easier to just be in USD instead of a 1x hedge short, although it can be it literally does the exact same thing. So, do I use RSI? Not really. Every now and then I'll look at it. What time frame do I see MFI and RSI? I don't really use it. Do I always mark Monday's high-low, weekly open, close, and monthly opens? Usually I'll mark them just to see where they're at, and then sometimes I'll take it off / refine it. What's the significance of confluence in detecting highs and lows in TA? I would just say confluence can add to the likelihood of your trade playing out. Alexis, awesome content, bro. Thank you. Sure, I will look at theta. I just hit my mic. I'm just gonna look at a high time frame view. It's right at the origin of the breakdown here. It's tapped it a few times. I think I would be bullish on theta if it broke above that level. I think that level has more or less been the floor of consolidation here, and also origin of the breakdown. So that level I would consider supply. When supply is broken, I would think of it as SR. A retest of that, I'd be bullish. How do I spot liquidity? Usually just key highs and lows where I expect stop losses to be. Do I ever just buy a nuke at the level you want? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I leave limits plenty of times. Like, I'm going to leave some limits here, and I don't care how fast it's going down. I'm going to enter that trade. I've done that before with other nukes. It's played out well sometimes, and other times it hasn't. But I just think if you have a plan, stick with it. Because if we nuke hard and wick into this and then get buy back up to there, that would just mess you up mentally. If you knew you wanted to do that and then didn't, and then you see it react really strongly from your level, it's tough. Why don't I use volume? Volume's different on every exchange, and so I don't think it's the most reliable thing. How did I learn? A lot of trial and error, and from a few different people, but I got little bits of my system from different places and put it all together in a way that works for me, I guess. Really great stream, man. Thank you. No problem. User 001001. Yeah, I'll look at SXP really quick. Huh. Kind of in this old range still. I mean, alts, I don't really think there's much to do with alts right now. That's why I haven't been charting any of them. Like, if I just scroll through this entire list, other than STEP, because that's a farming token, like, a lot of them have really similar structures, right? Like big nuke, triangles, consolidation, and then some break up out of it. Others have been breaking down out of it. So for instance, SXP, like, there's nothing for you to do here. I would not look for any longs. I would just say this general region has acted as resistance. This general region has acted as support. Just like Bitcoin. Buy down here, sell up there. Rinse and repeat. But I would just rather trade Bitcoin and Ethereum because they have more volume. They have more clarity to me. So that's why I'm not really talking about alts very much. What's the difference between... You don't use any indicators? Nope. Pretty much just price action, man. How much do you remember losing when you were learning at first? Not much. Paid big for the lessons. I mean, the amount is kind of relative to the person. Like, if you grew up as a trust fund kid and your parents are billionaires, and you could lose a few $100,000 and it wouldn't really be much. So I would, like, I lost a good amount of my starting capital, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back and take like 1/10 of that amount and just trade that account until I'm more comfortable. Looking by the monthly level, 37,281, you recommend just scattering bigs there? Well, it kind of just depends. If you have a clear invalidation level, then yeah, you can just put bids in and have a stop loss somewhere. But for me, because we had this big of a move up with no consolidation or support, I don't really have an invalidation level to put a stop loss for a long. So I would need to see some lower time frame price action, like a move below here and then break back above, get some bullish structure, break above this range, and then all of a sudden lower time frame price action is breaking to the upside and you have your invalidation level right there. So that's how I would play this level. However, with this blue level here, I put limits in demand. That's how I would trade it. And you can put limits in supply as well. But when I'm trading levels, like in the middle of areas, I usually will have to wait a little bit. So, for instance, I will put limits in this box. And then I think you can compound either when it gets out of it or when it gets above this level. Just as an example. But here, I wouldn't leave limits. No problem, Aiden. Glad you're enjoying the stream. How long have I been trading? How long does it take to get profitable? I think it's different for everyone. I've been trading for a little over 4 years. I was profitable after around a year. But I was also a student in university and didn't have a job, so I could spend more time learning. Do I see dominance going up or down this week? If I had to guess, I would say up. But I wouldn't bet on that. Do I have an opinion on whether we see new all-time highs this year? Do you think the cycle top is in and we're down only? I think we could see a new all-time high this year. I mean, I say it in all the streams basically. But I kind of expect us to do this for a few months, maybe not that long. Maybe something like this. So we do something like this until like September, October. Big ol' accumulation range. Break out of it. Go back up. This would be my macro idea for Bitcoin. How much leverage do you use the most? Leverage is irrelevant and it's all about position size, so I would recommend you watch my risk management video on my YouTube. CJ YouTube, buddy. I'm just kidding. CJ knows that. He's just being a troll. Where have I studied supply and demand concepts? I learned from a few different places, but I think the best free resource for supply and demand is my friend's blog. He did it completely. He has a free article about trading supply and demand. So I'll put the link in the chat box if you want to get a brief overview. But why do you think that a deviation below the line will come and it wouldn't have a little bounce from there? I have no idea. Like I literally have no clue. That's when I draw that, this isn't a prediction. I'm not saying I think it's going to go down, then get back above, and then go up. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if this drops and gets back above, then I'll be interested in a long. It's all about planning and reacting. So I'm not saying I think it's going to play out exactly like this and I'm betting on it going below and then back above. That'd be foolish because no one has any idea. But if we do go below and then reclaim that level, which would be like this SR level, I think the probability of us going up increases, and so I'd be willing to take a long. So it's not a prediction as much as it is just a plan. All right. If price doesn't sweep it and price moves up from the current level, do you not enter the trade and look for it? If the price doesn't, if it just goes up from here, I don't care. Like there are infinite trading opportunities in the future. I'm not going to lose sleep if this goes like this, or if it just goes here and then back down. Like it is what it is. This market isn't going away. So if it goes straight up from here, the main thing I'll focus on, that was a bad drawing, will be this. I'll look for shorts in gray. And if it goes down from here, then I keep riding my short, well, what's left of it, from 40.5, and I'll look for longs in these two areas, and that's it. We develop plans. Price will do whatever it wants. We don't need to try and guess or make a prediction. Just let price play out, and we will do whatever we can. Sorry, I was reading something, so I got confused. Or not confused, distracted. I see you, bro. I see your point. Sweet. Yeah, so just a plan. Whereas for this, like, I'd be looking for a sweep of these highs and then break back below. That's what I mean when I draw this. So if it does something like this, it's completely fine. We didn't take the trade. People will be like, oh, haha, your squiggly was wrong. We went right through it. And little do they know, I literally do not care. Like, if it plays out, we get a trade set up and we take it. If not, we look for the next trade set up and we take it. It's not like if this goes straight up from here and breaks through that level, I'm going to lose all my money and I'm making a bet that we reject there. That's not what it is at all. It's if we get up there and we do reject and we sweep these highs, then I like our chances of continuing lower, and that is a bet I'm willing to take after this has already played out. Okay? Do you go bigger leverage incremental the more up or down it goes? I also think you should probably watch my risk management video, but I don't, like, I have a set position size and risk amount when I enter a trade, and that's it. However, if I get a new invalidation level, then I can add to the trade. Like, if I can tighten my stop loss, if my stop loss is here and then we do something like this and I can move my stop loss here, then I can add to that trade because all of a sudden I'm not risking as much. So that's the only case when I would change my position size, really. Do I set alarms to enter trades? During the day, I'll have alerts, but I don't have alarms that go off in the middle of the night. If price gets to my level, I don't think my wife would enjoy that too much. And like I said, there are quite literally infinite opportunities in this market. And if this happens and then it goes up here and that plays out all while I'm sleeping, then it's like tough luck. But we just look for the next play. So I take my chances and try and get a good night's rest. We are 4 likes away from 100. If you guys could smash that like button, that'd be lit. What's my full-time job? All right, am I in crypto full-time? Crypto is by far my main source of income, but I help out and do portfolio research for a wealth management firm because it is a family business, but I only do that for a couple hours a day. Pretty short hours, and I mostly just do it to help out. Like I said, crypto is, like, so I guess it's technically that job is part-time, but I mean, crypto is my main source of income, if that answers it better. How old am I? I'm 23 years old. Best stream I've been in, man. Thank you. Really appreciate that, bro. When you put limit orders for the future, do you put a stop loss as well? Yes, always. My trade is always planned. I think if you don't know where you're wrong, then you shouldn't be entering a trade. Sometimes I'll split up my risk, though. Like, I could have limits for this setup and then limits for this setup. a more conservative play, and then one that's a little bit tighter. I do think that if we break below this blue level, the odds of the trade playing out are lower. But crypto's crazy. Sometimes you get crazy wicks. If this really sold off hard and wicked down and then got back above here, I would still be comfortable being in that trade. So having a conservative play is fine. And I don't always do this, but in certain scenarios, I think it can be helpful to lay it out like that. But that's how I would like plan it. What do you research? Mutual funds, ETFs, and other equities. I don't do much yield farming. I should probably do more. My major was finance. 23 and a wife. Yep. Yep. 23 years old and I'm married. Any tips for decision paralysis, overthinking trades? Do I use the same system for all my trades? Yes. So I trade the same with everything, and honestly, I think journaling could help you out. Like, if you have data that a certain setup works for you, then you won't be overthinking it as much. I've learned it the hard way, being patient and understanding that you can just sometimes observe and not trade. What are the pros and cons of using Bybit compared to Binance? I would pretty much just say they're for, like, if you want to trade a bunch of small alts, then you're not going to want to be on Bybit. Bybit has less coins, but their margin trading is very fluid. There's like no downtime. When I mark it in, my orders fill right then. I've experienced less slippage on Bybit than on other exchanges when I enter market orders with the same position size. So I would say the biggest pro of Bybit is the order execution. I like that they have a coin margined future, and really like their user interface. Easy to calculate your expected loss and gain if you put in your stop loss and take profit, which can make calculating position size easier. But with that being said, I still they don't have every coin there. So if I want to trade Sol, or if I want to trade whatever other smaller altcoin, I still do that on FTX. But all of my Bitcoin and Ethereum trading, especially, I do on Bybit. All right, chat's popping off. Give me a sec. Not sure if you can say that, but since you're German, are you by any chance from Berlin or Munich? I've spent most of my time in Germany in Stuttgart, so southern Germany. I'm Schwäbisch, more specifically. How long did it take you to develop your system? I would say a couple years. But journaling speeds it up a lot, and I didn't journal as religiously when I first started. We're getting a little movement here, boys and girls. So yeah, this was a nice little bottoming formation. Sellers kept trying to push it down, but buyers were stepping in around this level, and we might get a little bit of a push here. If we do, then this is the main thing I'm looking for. And I'm fine not being in a leverage trade when it goes up. How to avoid FOMO? Just remind yourself that there are literally endless opportunities. You don't need to catch every single move. Yeah, I'd say that's the main thing. Like, if you zoom out, if you catch this long and you catch this long and maybe this short, you will have made way more money in this range than the majority of crypto Twitter. Because the majority of people are trying to do this. They try and catch this short, this long, 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 And it's like, when you try and trade every single move like that, you're going to be wrong a lot more than you're right. But when you say, okay, I have my levels. This is around my range high where I'm interested in shorting. This is my range low where I'm interested in longing. If you trade this move and don't try and dissect every single one, you'll make a lot more money. And then it's like, all right, up to the range highs, you look for shorts, but hey, maybe you missed that because you were waiting for something else. And then you could miss this because it didn't give you a setup. And then it comes down, it takes out this low, forms a nice long setup. You ride this one. And you let crypto Twitter and everyone else get chopped up here while you're just waiting patiently for your next higher probability play. So I hope that helps. It's honestly probably a good reminder for myself sometimes. I should watch this stream. How was it trading the bear market? It was kind of fun. You pretty much just have to treat shorting like you do longing right now. How long have I been trading? About 4.5 years. Guten Tag. What leverage do I use? You should watch my risk management video. Nice move from Bitcoin here. Nice move. My leverage is based on my position sizing. Why the gray box for the target? Yeah, so I just really like this SR level. Like if I blank out the chart and we just look at this. This is a really nice SR level, right? Resistance, support, support, resistance, resistance. So I know that this general region, somewhere in here, is my resistance that I want to keep an eye on. And so then I looked at the 4 hour and I noticed that we have this 4 hour level right here, which is our 4 hour supply. It led to the breakdown. It led to the break of structure. And now we look for our lower high. And also we have these little highs there. So a sweep into supply would be my short setup. All right. So that's why the gray area. Why are Monday's levels so important? Mondays set the tone for the week, and initial liquidity is at the highs and the lows. So if you just look at a daily chart, anyone who shorted this move here probably put their stop loss at Monday's high. This move stopped out anyone who did that, and then we push lower. What price action am I looking for in the gray box? So if we just get a wick up and then breaks down below in the same candle, I would just take that short. If I'm watching it on like a little bit lower of a time frame, basically I would just want to see some type of weakness. So if we push up into this level, get rejected, or just consolidate a little and then break down, then I'd be like, okay, that looks topped out. But I would say the easiest trigger are when we get really strong rejections like this. This is a great stream. You bring a lot of value. No problem, man. My stream is moving Bitcoin. Yeah, we're all... Actually, my stream is getting front ran. That's where I wanted to enter. But see, it's all good. Like, Bitcoin's moving away. I'm not in the trade, but I'm not stressed out. I'm not overthinking it. Like, it is what it is. And I just shift my focus to this area to look for a short. And who knows? This could put in one more low and then... I mean, I hope not. That would look pretty ugly, but... You get the idea. Can you link the risk management video? Yeah. You just bear with me while I go get it. I mean, I think you can just search Trader Cause risk management if you want, but I'm in a generous mood. So let me go pull it up. Haha. I beat you to it. Do I look at RSI and volume? No, not really. Can you explain why sweep into demand is important? Basically, a sweep would cause stop losses to trigger. So, I mean, this one isn't the best example, but let's see. I'm looking for a 4-hour one, so it doesn't give me as many. Okay, this one was perfect. I mean, it didn't lead to a huge move up, but the idea is there. So typically demand is where we expect a lot of buyers to be. So it was the last bit of selling before a push up, and we know it's good demand when there's an explosive move coming out of it. But you expect buyers to still be in that level. Like, because they were so willing to buy it up here, there probably are either unfilled orders or people who are still willing to enter there. Here, we have stop losses because people who bought this or bought anywhere in here probably just put their stop loss at the higher low, which is right here. Taking out stop losses will lead to market sells, and then when they market sell, someone is either getting limits filled. Well, someone is getting limits filled on the other side of that to buy. So basically, when you stop people out, you're creating liquidity. And so then this candle right here, really big wick, stopped out everyone who put their stop loss here, and then buyers stepped in and reversed it. And sure, it ended up being a lower high into this level, but you get, I think that would explain pretty well what a sweep into demand, like what I mean when I say that. English is hard sometimes. Do I have a hold stash you continue to stack from profits? Yes, I do. So sometimes my leverage trading account on Bybit, because I do coin margin where it sits in Bitcoin, sometimes when that hits certain levels, I'll be like, all right, I could take out 20, 30% of it or whatever. Wow, looks like my message was deleted when I wanted a second opinion on crypto. Angel, I don't know what you mean. I didn't delete any messages, so. Is there a reason you use black and white? I just think it kind of looks cleaner, and I guess I've kind of trained my eyes to look at black and white charts. So sometimes when I look at other ones, things don't jump out at me as much. When will I go live again? On Tuesday. Every Tuesday, Thursday. Thanks to Bybit. I would say price acceptance is like over an SR level. I think retesting it and holding it as support or resistance is what acceptance would look like. So, but I mean, sometimes there are fake outs, which can kind of mess you up, but that just will either lead to some stop losses or whatever. But yeah, no one deleted your message, Angel. I don't think. You don't pay attention to trend lines except horizontals and SR. Sometimes I'll look at a trend line, but I won't take a trade based off one. Do you think it's possible to start, learn, and be profitable if you have a full-time job trading evenings? I think you can. I think you just need to be really disciplined. I think you need to be strict about your journaling and really make good use of the time that you can spend in front of a computer. I think I did forget to look at ETH BTC earlier, but there's not much to update here. It's still kind of in the middle of nowhere. If we bounce up to this level, I would probably look to de-risk some Ethereum, move it into Bitcoin, or if we bounce to here, I would look to long Ethereum instead of Bitcoin. But I mean, when we updated last, we were right here, so ETH BTC hasn't really moved, so there's not much to update there. I apologize. This daily candle is kind of ugly, but it's not the worst thing in the world. We might just get an inside day tomorrow and consolidate. We'll see. Alright guys, I'm heading to bed too. Yeah, you and me both, Yanal. Glad you enjoyed the stream, man. I will check my DMs after I hop off. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the content. Seems like I think this was a really solid stream. So once again, I appreciate you all being here. Not necessarily long after the lower low, if it sweeps that low though, because this could just keep ranging, right? It could just range in here. So if it takes out this daily demand and then holds that, then I think we might just bounce up to here. So it's not, I wouldn't be like, oh, it just put in a lower low, the low is in and now we're going back up. It would be more so if we did that, then I'd look for a bounce up to here. Just wanted to clear that up before signing off. If you guys enjoy the stream, it really does help me a lot if you use that Bybit link and at least make a deposit, even if you don't trade there much. If you do that, then I will be able to continue to do these. I just Bybit wants me to bring people in, and thanks to them, I don't have to charge anyone else for this stream. So if it's your first time, don't worry. If you're a regular viewer and you've been able to make some money from the stream, then you can consider signing up there with the link below. But as always, I'm thankful for Bybit for sponsoring and for creating what I think is the best leverage trading platform. Can't trade every single alt there, but I do all my Bitcoin and Ethereum trading there. So, all right, enough. That's enough of a shill. Thank you for tuning in. I genuinely appreciate it. We had over 200 people for a while today, which is pretty crazy to think about. 200 people want to see me talk about a chart. So, anyway, hope you all have a great rest of your evening, night, morning, whatever it is. And I will be live again on Tuesday. In the meantime, I'll be sure to post updates on Twitter. But you guys know what we're looking for. This short is probably the main thing, unless this rolls over after the daily close, that we might be able to look for a long. All right? I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks again.